Hi there, my name is Bandy and this is my channel BandysBooks, and today I am here to do a 5-star prediction follow-up. In January, I had the joy of getting to collab with Sarah's Nightstand and Lindsay's Little Library for their 5-star prediction series. We each picked out 3 books that we thought might be 5-star reads and then, read them, and now we're here to tell you how they turned out. So I have 3 books. I'm super excited to talk about them. I was so stoked on my picks and how they turned out. So let's jump right into it. The first book that I have is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. So this book did end up being a 5-star for me. This book follows a young woman who is blind. At the beginning of the story, she's living in a town with her father, and her father's even created a replica of the town to kind of teach her way around, teach her to be self-sufficient and to navigate. Eventually, her father is no longer in the picture, and she's left to her own devices as the Nazis roll into France. And that self-sufficiency that he taught her, it becomes her biggest asset in her survival of the Nazi occupation. It took me a few minutes to get into the story. I mean, initially there's a lot of setup and we're getting to know characters and places and all that. But as soon as you kind of are grounded within the story, it picks up pretty quick. And wow, the main character is just so impressive. It is a feat to have survived Nazi occupation or war in general. But then to consider that she did it being blind, she did it without being really sure of how to escape, how to get places, what to do. And I really loved the perseverance and the attitude that the main character had. But I also really love the characters within the story that are supporting characters that kind of help her survive, that give her support and take care of her when her father takes off. And I just I fell in love with this story. I really enjoyed it. I'm so happy that this ended up being a 5-star read because I've heard so many good things about this one. Then I have The Martian by Andy Weir. So this is a story of an astronaut who has gone to Mars on a mission, and he and his co-astronauts are on the planet and they're exploring. Some stuff goes wrong, they flee, and he gets left on Mars. And he's there by himself. He has no way of escaping. There's no shuttles for him to fly off with. There's no communication. There's no food sources. He's got, a minimal amount of food and oxygen left for, a short, basically it's geared around a short exploration of the planet, not long-term survival. And so he calculates out the amount of time that he would need to survive and then starts putting together a plan. He starts figuring out how to make the soil possibly nutrient dense enough to grow food. He starts planting potatoes. He starts figuring out how to condense water. He starts figuring out all the ways to survive in this extremely hostile climate. And it's a pretty exciting story. Again, I love science fiction, especially really tense, action-packed science fiction. So I found this pretty exciting. However, I think that the only reason this wasn't a 5-star read for me was that I did find it a bit predictable. And maybe it's because I've heard a lot about this book, because I kind of know the concept of this book and where it was kind of going. I found it a little less surprising or unique for me. I kind of knew what was up. And it was still really well written. I still really felt engaged. It was probably a 4, maybe a 4.25 for me, but just it would have had to be a little bit more surprising for me to be that full 5 stars. And my third and final book was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Now let me tell you, I was so nervous going into this one because on my original video talking about these being my 5-star predictions, everyone was like, oh my gosh, The Nightingale is my favorite book. It's so good. I loved it. I posted about it on Instagram, same thing over there. Everyone's like, this book's so amazing, this so amazing, so amazing. And it's so hard for me because a lot of times when books are heavily hyped, I feel really disappointed. So I was worried that would happen here. But luckily for me, this one lived up to the hype. I'm so excited. This ended up being a 5-star read for me. This is about a set of sisters in World War II. They're in France during the Nazi occupation, and it's basically about what each sister does to try to survive the war. One sister fights back and rebels. She joins the underground movement to fight against the Nazis, and she does it at great personal risk. The other sister ends up having to house a Nazi officer in her own home. She's not given a choice in this. It's not like she chooses to do this, but it is a forcible thing, and she has no choice but to deal with him. And she creates kind of I don't want to say a symbiotic relationship necessarily, because that sounds a little bit more cooperative than it is, at least initially, but they learn to live with each other and sort of protect each other. Each of the women chooses a drastically different route, but it kind of makes you understand that there is like no judgment in survival in these tough war situations. Both women are trying their best to keep their morals intact, doing what they think is right, and trying to protect those that they love. And it's just a fascinating story. It was so well written. I cared so much about each of the characters. There was definitely points where I felt myself like swearing at the book because I was so frustrated with what was happening, or I didn't like a choice that was made, or I was frustrated by like a situation that one of them was put in. It's really a very good book and super hard to put down. Like once I got into this one, I really did not want to stop reading. So definitely a 5-star for me. And I'm going to even go a step further and kind of compare these two books side by side. So both of these books deal with characters that are stuck in France as the Nazis take over during World War II. Both of them deal with strong women that are trying their hardest to survive. Both of them deal with, you know, the underground movement in France that is trying to rebel against the Nazis. Both of them have very similar subjects. I think both are excellent reads, and I would actually honestly recommend reading both. But if you were gonna only pick one of these two books, I think I have to edge out the Nightingale, just because I felt like the Nightingale was pretty compelling like right away, whereas the All the Light We Cannot See took a little bit of time to get into, just because you're kind of learning the setup and the characters and all of that. Again, both excellent, both 5 stars, but if, you know, I was forced to pick one, I think the Nightingale's gonna edge this one out. So at the end of the day, all 3 of my books were honestly excellent reads. I am not disappointed at all in these recommendations, and I would feel confident recommending any of these books to you. I hope that the rest of my month of February is as successful as this little experiment was, because honestly, I love it when I'm like 4 stars, 5 stars, you get 5 stars, you get 5 stars. It's the best feeling. So that's the end of my 5-star wrap up. Make sure you go check out the videos from Sarah's Nightstand and Lindsay's Little Library. Both of them had some pretty cool picks as well, and I'm personally super excited to see how their reading turned out. Thank you to both of them for including me in this. It was so much fun collabing, and I'm so grateful to have such lovely friends here on BookTube. And that's the end of this. So if you like this video, hit the thumbs up and comment down below. Let me know what your last 5-star read was. And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you never miss a video. And that way we can see each other again soon. Thanks so much for joining. Bye.